Welcome to another episode of We Don't Die. I'm your host, Sandra Champlain, author of the international best-selling book called We Don't Die, A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death. And just a reminder, my home base is wedon'tdie.com, where you can find classes and events, our free Sunday gathering with medium demonstration included. Also, I'm the host of this podcast and also Shades of the Afterlife, which is on iHeartRadio. What makes the two shows different is this show, I get to spend quality time one-on-one with a guest. That show, there's different topics and news and all kinds of good things all mixed into one. But you want to listen to that, I think, because it's really got some up-to-date, wonderful things about life and the afterlife. So you can find Shades of the Afterlife on your favorite podcast channel. Our guest today is Stephen Trolland. Stephen is an accredited medium and spiritual healer within the Spiritualist National Union. He is also a champion snowboarder, where he's gained 6 podium finishes and 2 British titles. Stephen is a new friend. Recently, he's been a guest speaker and our medium on one of our Sunday gatherings, and I love him. He's just a wonderful, and I know you'll enjoy him too. I've also been watching him on social media, and I tell you, he lives in an area where he captures pictures of the most beautiful nature, aurora borealis. Oh, and I love to just live vicariously through his eyes and his camera lens. You can find out more about him and his mediumship at soulfullyembraced.com. So coming up to us from Scotland today, it's my pleasure to say Stephen Trolland, welcome to We Don't Die.
Thank you, Sandra. I've been so excited just to be in your company again and just to have a chat. I've been really excited about it.
I feel the same way. A little bit of butterflies in my belly. So I don't know much about you, except for you're wonderful. So I think we're aligned. You know, when you just meet people and you just feel
Yeah,
that affinity towards them, that's how I feel about you. So
yeah.
if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about you, your past, your story, snowboarding, your brother, getting into
Uh,
mediumship. I'll just throw it your way.
oh my goodness, where do I start? Well, it's good few years ago now, because I live in the beautiful Highlands of Scotland. We've got a wee ski resort here, just 9 miles up the road from me. So I've been kind of brought up here with skiing first for about 7 years, and then I found the snowboard. And I think, I don't know, I still love skiing as well, although I don't spend so much time on the skis now. But my boarding has been the life and soul of my heart. It's been my everything. It's given me an incredible life, just meeting new people and so on, exploring Europe, competing in the international circuit, as well. I've had quite a few podiums. The beginning there was 2 podiums in the Scottish Championships, which led me to move. Finding a job as a kitchen porter to start with in out in France in Courchevel. But I couldn't get time off to do my training or competitions. So I started as a night watchman. But that meant in the beginning, that meant me staying awake all night, and then going to race the next day to qualify, coming back, staying awake all night again, and then going back to race again the next day. And that was my first kind of proper international competition, which I did okay. It was some friends knew some big names on there, so and it was about 16th or something. Well over 100 people from my first competition. Yeah, so yeah, I could go on if you like me to, but that was the start of it.
That was the start of it. And then you've done pretty well in that, in your passion there.
Yeah.
How did you get interested in the spirit world? Take us a little bit on that journey.
Um, well, I've always been interested, but there was always just this, should I say, um, feeling of being interested, but not actively chasing that feeling or honoring that feeling as much. And then it wasn't until the passing of my brother in 2005, and then a few other things going on there, just kind of, kind of forced within yourself to look for a bigger and better reason to life rather than how life presents itself to you, And I guess many people, especially those that have been touched by grief in many different areas and different ways, can relate to that feeling. And but from there, it was you got quite a famous medium in America called John Edwards. I saw him on the telly. I didn't know anything about mediums, psychics, or anything like that. So I just saw him on telly one time, and I thought, it's not that I just really wanted to get to know my brother, and to contact him in any way, but there was just this real interest of, I want to know how that works. So I ordered his CDs off the internet, and I found the meditation part of things quite difficult. And sometimes, looking back on it, you don't realize how far you've gone or how well you've done until it's time to come back round again. So I've got a mind. I'm waiting for my assessment for ADHD, so I've got thoughts that just bounce around all over the place, and I'm very forgetful as well. So trying to concentrate, I just really created a tension more than anything. And then I just took my earphones off, and it was on top of a hill that looked right through the valley over a beautiful loch and so on. This is my first proper feeling of so much more. But when I took my earphones off, um, it was just took a deep breath, and then again the the feeling, the experience is so much more than my words, that I just felt a part of everything. And looking down upon the trees, just following the breath of wind, it's bending all the tips of the trees all the way, making all the patterns over the mountains. I was so much in there, everything around me, like the noises of the birds and everything was like one experience. And that was my first um knowingness, should I say, of that I am so much more than just the physical me. And then from there, things just started to unfold naturally, um, just naturally, really. And then I found the Arthur Findlay College, and then I started investigating a lot more, and I've just not stopped. You know yourself, and anyone that's unfolding or interested in this, really truly interested, you'll net that thirst of just the amazement of it all is, yes, we have the abilities to say, hi, I've got your mum here, or just to connect your own loved ones and so on, your own experiences with the spirit world, and not devaluing that, but it's so, so much more. As you know, it becomes your life experience. Mediumship is very much part of your life, your life experiences. And I've just never looked back. But every thought, um, my attention was always trying to um, just find out more. And I've been at it a wee while now, I would say.
Not too long. In your training, has your brother come through? Because I know in practicing and in the Arthur Findlay College, we work on each other. And have
Yeah.
you had that with your
Oh,
brother?
yes, yeah, loads of times. He actually um put me made a real nice contact with my wife that was to be like the wife I have now. And I remember at the Arthur Findlay College, where I met Trisha, my wife, and I was going outside and I was like, those beautiful roses there. I think I'll pick a red one. So I went and picked a red rose, and I went and didn't want to embarrass her in front of anybody. Didn't want anybody to see. Oh, I didn't want to get embarrassed, really. Yeah, that's it, really. But so I hid it in a tree, at the far end of the beautiful gardens at Arthur Findlay College, and then it was sitting there ready for the evening time for when we were finished. But then when we were sitting, doing like practicing in the classes, my brother came through and he says her favorite color is yellow. He's talking about a yellow rose, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to go and get another rose here. So here's me pinching Stansted roses and putting them up at the end of the garden, and then we walked up to the end of the garden. It ended up that her favorite color was yellow, and ever since then, like yellow roses has been something that we really connect with, both of us. So that's my brother just put a wee word in there for me, if I can put it like that.
Can I ask about your brother? How old he was when he passed and what
Yeah,
happened?
I think he was about 36, I think. I'm trying to remember numbers and things. For me, it's quite difficult, but I know it was 2005. And he passed of a brain hemorrhage. There was a big thing going on. I'll not go into too much detail with it, with investigations, police investigations, and so on, of how, because of the way he was found. But yeah, he's. I was going to say he was an amazing guy, but you give me a right for that. So I would say he is an amazing guy, and he's still very much present in our life today. I'm very honored to have our home circle, our close circle, where my mum and her friends, our really close friends, sit for me. And yeah, my brother's come through and spoken a few times, and his presence has been just touched everyone there. Yeah,
How did you create a circle? First of all, I understand meeting your wife at the Arthur Findlay College, so you're
yeah,
like minds, but not everybody from an older generation believes in this. So
yes.
it's wonderful that your mom's involved. How did that come to be?
Well, it was years ago. Um, I found out my mum used to do the Ouija board, and but I know that was at the back of the mind, but she's always been a massive, massive supporter. And there was one time I was going for a walk around the beautiful lochs around here, and I just my brother came to me when I was walking around that loch, and of course I went straight home and started speaking to my mum, and my mum got a message from my brother. But the closeness of the connection is something that at that time, because there was no manufacturing, if I can put it like that, everything was just raw and natural, and his closeness was just there. The connection that we had at that time, that was able to give my mum a message, or should I say, a communication from him, is she just from there. She's always been a big part of my experience, my mediumship, my life. And I guess I've got to thank her if I've got anything like good in nature of me to be brought up with. It's come from my mum.
That is sweet. Well, a shout out to your mom. Oh, that's very sweet. You had mentioned your busy mind and meditation. There's a practice many mediums talk about, sitting in the power, sitting in your
Yeah.
own presence, and it is very difficult to quiet that busy mind. Is
Mhm.
it necessary, or can we be out in nature and in awe of nature? Or how has your
My
development
way.
gone that can you sit and quiet your mind for little bits of time?
Yeah. Well, I think the more we do it, the more, I mean, everyone has got a beautiful soul within them that knows us better than we know ourselves. And mediumship, psychic awareness has been around since man's touched the earth. So it knows exactly what to do and how to do it. It knows how to weave its way within your thoughts to be more present. So even although I've had a mind that has jumped around, I should say, have a mind, thoughts that jump around from one thing to the next. I simply, every single day, I go downstairs and I've got this little cupboard under the stairs, and I just switch off the lights and put a lock on the door. And I've actually got to take the light bulb out because I've got a 5-year-old boy. Because he comes in, it's like, Daddy, turns on the light, and I'm like, oh my goodness. But anyway, what I found is it's not always what you do within that process, but with the intent that has already been made as you go to sit. But the most important thing is the time that you give. And therefore, that soul will start to make itself more present within your awareness and be a big part of your life. That's how I've found that process of sitting in the power. But you talked about nature as well. And I didn't really know, again, it was before my brother and so on when I was in competition. And when I was going through like difficult times with sponsorship and trying to find finances and so on. And just when I could not find a way forward, I just couldn't. I just like, how am I going to do this? I've got all these plans to go away. I've told these sponsors that this is my plans. I'm going to do this, but I've got no finances to do it, and there was a lot of other stuff going on there too. But what I found is at the time, and I was an athlete, so I'd go running, and I guess there's that part of that rhythmical breathing that helped, but more so being out in nature. And I always find a sense of peace when I was doing this. And for some, I would always come back, I was going to say with the answer, but I wouldn't say the full answer that you can see the full picture ahead, but there would always be a stepping stone that would lead to the next and to the next, and then just lead you on that journey. So that connection to nature has been a massive part of me, even now still.
And I love your photographs. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Before I go to bed at night, I look to see what if you've posted
Oh,
any new pictures.
I'll need to go and get some more then.
Yeah, there's just things that I may never see with my eyes, and just
Oh,
beautiful. Tell us a little bit about your boy, because I know he's the love of your life, isn't he?
yeah, oh, Brody, a wee ginger-haired boy, like myself, but no, he's got a bit more hair than me. And yeah, it was uh, the first when he was born. As soon, I'll tell you a wee story in a second. As soon as he was born, just as soon as I heard that first cry, that well of emotion just surfaced, and I knew my life had changed, and it was just an amazing feeling. But when Tricia was still pregnant, there was, say, a couple of times when we thought the worst had happened, when we were unsure he'd not been moving for a long time. And I got this favorite song called "Wish You Were Here" from Pink Floyd, and it's something I've always just related to. I still I don't know the need to understand the words and everything properly in some way, but even when like my great grand passed, I've always sat and sung that song to those someone that's passed. But anyway, it's always been a favorite of mine. And I would sit and I Trisha with them even before these times when we thought the worst, I would sit and I'd play the guitar and sing that song. And he would all start moving, you see the wee foot there, a wee hand there, or something, with your Trisha's tummy just moving around. And then when he had not moved for a long time, I remember the first time I just came back from um, our spiritualist church was about 40 miles away, about 11 o'clock at night, and she was just not in a good place. So just, let's try this. So I just took out my guitar and played that song. The next thing you know, he's doing somersaults again inside Twister's belly. So it's always something that's related to us both. And when I play that song now, well, I've got a thing going on with my chest and lungs and things, so getting that seemed to. But anyway, I don't sing it as good with this, but he still loves it. He still thinks of it one of his favorite songs. But he loves also, was it Johnny Be Good, Chuck Berry, I think it is. Yeah, he loves that one.
That's wonderful. Is he, I mean, he's a little boy, but have you noticed he's spiritual in nature, grounded, um, loves the adventure of life?
Oh, the adventure for life is just never stops. I think as his body moves before his brain sometimes, He just loves climbing everywhere. So the adventure is definitely there, just like myself. But he's always um questioned about where is heaven and things like this, because he knows, because like when I'm working, sometimes he knows I'm speaking to heaven, talks to about like that, and that heaven's everywhere. And heaven's in my heart, he says as well. So it's very endearing. And I'm actually in the middle of creating a track. It's going to be called Soulfully Embraced as well. It's kind of like sitting in the power, but it is sitting in the power, but looking at it from a different angle, a different way, I guess, maybe how I've learned in my sense, but trying to relate to everyone else at the same time. But I says to him, like, it's going to, hopefully it's a long, 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 long time from now. But when I go, I'll still be there, that. But you'll always have something like where you can hear my voice. And whenever time you listen to it, you'll know I'll be with you. So he's got something to listen to in the future when I'm no longer physically present, something that will bring him comfort, but also something, if he dedicates himself to it, where he can, yes, hear my voice, but unfold and bring that beautiful soul that he is alive, be more present in this world that will help move him, guide him. And we know with the soul presence, it brings the strength of the communion with the spirit world. So therefore, I could be more present with them as well. So I think, and actually now I'll make one especially for him also.
I think that's really
Yeah,
sweet. I wouldn't mind
thank you.
talking a little bit more about being so soulfully present because what joins most of us here on this show is that we have a loved one who has passed. And it's wonderful to see a medium, and you're one of those mediums with integrity that's reasonably priced. You have a guarantee for your sittings, and I love you for that. I want more mediums to
Oh,
to be that. But
thank you.
when we can't go to a medium, I know that our loved ones are around, and you spoke about feeling your brother's presence. Could you talk a
Yeah.
little bit about, do you see him? Do you feel him? Does it help that you sit in the dark and you're more in tune with all of your senses? What advice
Um,
would you give for making that connection or feeling that
I
connection, I
mean, we
guess?
know that everyone's different. And I've had people saying, like for this uh, beautiful lady, um, recently been on our demonstrations and things, and sometimes done a question and answer, and she says, "I saw my son after he had passed, but now I can't see him." I would say is to try and let go of expectations. As I say, there's an intelligence at work just by just the intention of wanting to connect to them and so on. And but also sometimes it might take someone else in the spirit world for you to become more aware of, for that dearest one to be brought forward by that person. It's just, I guess it's understanding your own process. And I really hate the word patience, but I ain't got any, but I've really we got no choice sometimes. And I wouldn't say there's a fast track to be able to say, okay, I want to feel my loved one and I want to feel that person now. And I want to know this and I want to know that. And it's letting go of expectations. And we know everyone has within the soul that sensitivity, what we call the psychic. And sometimes there might be, say, the feeling and the emotions might be more present within naturally within your psychic awareness that the spirit world can use to just to get that feeling of them, you know. Or maybe you are a visual person, so where you might see that person first, like that lady has. And um, it's hard to say, okay, try this, and then you'll be able to feel your loved ones or see your loved ones. And I would say the best thing to do is honor your true nature of who you are, figuring out who you are as a beautiful soul. That will bring the presence of your own soul, bring enlightenment to the mind, because there's that saying, heal the soul. I don't believe that's true. I feel it's the purity and the beauty within the expression of the soul that heals the mind. So therefore, it brings healing towards grief and so on. It brings contentment, and with that brings those that love you in the spirit world. I think I would say, but just nature, natural law, your true
Yes,
nature.
it makes sense. I just heard a video or an audio from a woman who will take a bath. And when she's in her most rested, quiet place, her daughter, who has passed,
Oh,
comes to her there. And she said in the beginning she was taking 4 baths a day, but she says, I could feel her presence.
oh wow.
So you mentioned sitting in the dark. I think sometimes that helps. And I know how busy the mind is. So I think it's a
Yeah,
good practice to spend that time with your
yeah.
soul.
Yeah, I find for me personally, yes, sitting in light, that's fine, but there's just something about being by myself in the dark. I guess robbing myself of that physical like senses of the light and so on. Stick my headphones on, just so it blocks out the sounds of the cars or loud noises or things that might bring me back. And so I guess robbing myself of the physicality of that senses allows me to be more present in myself, I think.
Yeah, those are good words. I know our minds can be so busy, and I do agree. We've got a
Yeah,
perfect soul, but it's just to be in touch with it and be able to rest as best as we can. That busy mind, pay attention to your breathing, whatever that may be.
yeah. The breath is my main one.
Yeah. Stephen, do you have any favorite stories of connections you've made without any names, but doing medium readings with people? We love to
Oh,
hear stories.
oh my goodness. Oh, where do I start? Which one? Goodness, try to remember them as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I can just maybe say, I wouldn't say any one in Pacific at this very moment in time, but one might come as I'm talking. But it's more so I've had, I guess, after I've been sitting in the presence in the room for where people are to come for a reading, if it's physical, people like them in person, should I say, physically. Um, I guess that soul presence brings strength to even the information as you give it because it brings life within the words that touches the soul of a person. There's that beautiful saying, information can touch the mind, but the presence of the spirit will touch the soul. And I've had people that would come into the room and they just start to feel really emotional and just feel as if they want to cry or just having a little tear. And they're saying, it's like, but I don't know why I'm doing this. And I'd say, I think, yes, the presence of the spirit's there. I would say their own soul is preparing them. Um, because as I say, there's that intelligence at work. It's the connection between all three of us, um, and I would say the presence is the main one. See if I can think of one at this minute in time. Um, 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 I will get one, don't worry.
Oh, no
I
pressure.
can feel, I can feel my.
I can ask you another question, and then one
Yeah,
will might just come in out of the blue. Of
yeah,
course, I just
that'll be
lost the
good.
question I was going to ask you. Don't you
I'm
love
glad.
being human? I don't know. Oh, I know what I was going to ask you. Do the spirit folks need to train on their side how to communicate, or do you think once we're over there, we can just gently influence people's thoughts and feelings and emotions and memories and things?
I I guess there's that part of us, the souls I keep mentioning, and the more when we let go of the physical form, we're more in contact and connected to that presence of us where all that sensitivity is. So I believe that um, is yes, I believe they do in some way have to understand it because of depending on the medium they come through as well. Because I know of say like I've just guessed it, like saying this out loud, like a father would come through, and that at that time um for the first reading, for example, the father would be able to get some bits across. We'll have a nice reading, that's fine. But the next time that person comes, or someone else from their family comes, then that father comes close again, and then it becomes stronger. So my feeling is they start to become used to the process, but all maybe used to that particular medium as well. We know we're not the medium for everyone out there. That's natural law. Um, so say, for example, if I'm most dyslexic person going. So if I had someone that was an accountant in the spirit world wanting to come close and talk to their loved ones about their finances, I think they would get stuff, they'd get stuff. But if I was an accountant in the spirit world wants to come close and talk, and then they would get a lot more across and a lot more detail because it's within our life experience as well. And I think the life experiences of a medium um, can make it easier or harder for that spirit person to get exactly what they want across. We know we can get people working like doing a double link, for example, or a triple links where two mediums are working with the same person. I feel that's when the spirit world have got more of a voice because what they can't say through one, they'll be able to say through the life experience of another as well. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but maybe
It's a great
a perception.
conversation, I think. Have you had snowboarders or skiers come through? Thinking about that, have you had them pull on your memories in your past
Um,
on the
I've had
slopes?
on the slopes, not actual skiers or snowboarders. 'Cause, I've not got. I'm very fortunate. I've not got that many in the spirit world, apart from one that came through another medium. He unfortunately passed in an avalanche, and yeah, he came through another medium. To me, that's the really only contact I've had from a snowboarder or a skier in the spirit world.
Have you yourself worked with a client and they've used your memories? I know they use your experiences and memories and things.
Um,
Um,
Yes, um, yes, they have. It was in a spiritual center in the Highlands here, it's a little bit further north, and I just saw the helicopter because we can get heli skiing and things like that. Where you go in the helicopter and they drop you off in a mountain, you can snowboard, ski down. But I saw that before, and they used the helicopter to connect to the person in the audience who was an actual pilot of the helicopter and so on. So we've got that little frame of references there to call up on.
They work in such wonderful ways, don't they?
Yeah, it's just being open to it, isn't it? That's the
That's it. Being open. If someone's loved one does not come through, like you said, you may not be the medium for them, but doesn't mean that they're not there. Could our loved one just be busy in the spirit world? Because people ask me, I've never had a
Yeah,
sign from my loved one. But those people who've said that, I know they don't journal, they don't spend time sitting with their soul, they
yeah,
brush
yeah.
off because sometimes we get a memory that comes out of nowhere and a
Hmm.
feeling. And to me, Stephen, that's them. But it's so
Yeah,
easy
yeah,
for some people to just brush that
yeah,
off.
yeah, definitely. Um, what was the question again? Sorry.
What was the question?
Maybe
Oh,
the
yeah, if people don't come through in a
yeah,
reading,
yeah,
or they don't feel their presence, or they don't have a sign, doesn't mean they're not
yeah.
with them, right?
That's right. But that's one of the things that I say when I'm actually saying it's like, have you had a reading before and so on? And I always say, um, if there's somebody or people in the spirit world that you really hope to hear from, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't mean they're not here and they don't love you. It just means it's natural. All the people in the world, I'm not the medium for everyone, but we don't want to take away the magic that it can happen. And I think sometimes also it's just that one little thing, like a piece of information that will come from another loved one, that can lead us to that person in the spirit world. Again, it's the medium being open to that. As say, if I am someone that has not had many young people passed in the spirit world or something like that, and I have only had like a grandmother. First thing is if I go to college or go somewhere to demonstrate learn, and if I'm on the platform, guaranteed the first person that will come through will be a grandmother. That's one like the person that would be able that I'm open to at that time. And I think sometimes it's being open enough to get that people in the spirit world. Sometimes even just the name or just a smell of a certain aftershave, and they'll say, "Oh, that was my son's aftershave." And then the next thing you know, it leads your mind closer to that person, that son in the spirit world.
You have to be very trusting as a medium. And I say this on our Sunday gatherings that our mediums, it's like I think of squirrels, get a lot of squirrels being on the skinny branches, you could drop. You really have to trust what comes through because is it your imagination? Is it the spirit world? And you're okay if somebody says no if the information isn't correct, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we know there's that um, fine line, as you say. I mean, we've got this mind, and where there, we're being open for those in the spirit world to express themselves upon the screen of experience, the mind. But we've also got our own thoughts that can come in, that can interrupt the conversation. I would say only I believe that not all mediums will work 100% all the way through a demonstration. And there's always that fluctuation in the energy as well. Um, but also saying that, if say you know yourself, and many people, I believe, will relate to this. When we meet people, you talked about it when we opened up here at the beginning. Sometimes you just have that, you connect to some people in this life better than you do with others. And it's just natural. So we've got to think about those in the spirit world as well. Sometimes it just, as you say, it's that connection might be where we have to work a little bit more hard at, in some sense, as the medium. So the information doesn't come as free and easy as well. But when we are, I feel, when the information is coming well, I would just through that knowingness, through experience, I guess, that then we can just start to throw caution to the wind within ourselves. And when you're in that flow, and that's when the best evidences will start to present themselves.
Very nice. And I know from my own family, my dad was very outspoken. He did a lot of speaking, or he'd be the first to speak up. And whereas my grandmother, she would just be happy at a party, just sitting and listening to everyone. So it was
Yeah,
no coincidence, I guess, that after my grandmother passed, it wasn't until being in the privacy of one of the Zoom rooms, one of our online classes, that she
yeah.
came through feeling
Ah,
comfortable. But of course, right at the beginning, there was my dad, right? So I think our personalities continue with us.
absolutely.
Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. And that just goes like as I mentioned, you connect with some people better than than you do with others. And it's not that we don't like them. It's just there's that, I don't know, maybe there's that soul connection, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. What did I want to ask you about? Oh, healing. You're also credited as a healer. Could you
Yeah.
talk to us a bit about the world of healing? I know there's different needs for different people. There's physical healing. There's, well, I know what happens between my two ears, right? And sometimes I'm in need of a little healing. But the difference that we can make, of course, if you're with someone and you can gently rest your fingertips on their shoulders, that's a kind of
Hmm.
healing. But there's a lot of unrest in the world. There's a lot of, oh, I hear it every day, just people in need. What can we do? Maybe we can talk a little bit about spiritual healing and the difference we can do, even if we're not with
Yeah.
someone.
I think just like well, anybody I feel can give healing because we have our living thoughts. And because we're all connected, part of what we call the Great Spirit, God, universal energy, however you relate to that, that's within us all. Therefore, distance and miles fall away, even between us now. So those thoughts will go to that person or that animal or whatever, even if I'm in Scotland and they're in Australia. So they've got those living thoughts as well. But we've got to also look at the mediumistic side of things, or the soulful side of things, where certainly just like unfolding mediumship, just like in like platform mediumship, like we've been talking about here, or private readings and so on. I think healing is no different, but the beauty of it is that it's more selfless in some sense because we're not looking for that yes or do you understand or anything like that. So therefore our own mind is our job is just to completely surrender to those in the spirit world. And I found through my healing that it's just through the art of surrender, those in the spirit world came so much more closer that I felt at the time, because my conscious mind, or the part of my conscious mind, was becoming less involved. I wasn't looking for them or anything like that. Just that complete surrender. And it was just like those in the spirit world, like their hands became my hands and so on. It's just like they're just we know it can take on saying the mannerisms on the platform of someone in the spirit world. It was just similar to that. And again, every medium's unique, just like in given readings and platform as well. I would say the same in healing. So maybe this is my um thoughts here. Maybe there's someone, maybe if there was an optician, for example, that was a great healer, and then any bets, like he would be amazing at healing eyes. It's just that thought's there. But we know that healing also through the reverence of sending the selflessness of sending healing is the surrender. And within that space, I was going to say something there, and I mean, when you get that wee thought, it just drifts off, and it's like, come back. I always get that. Give me a second.
That's okay. And
I
we're
was
getting
going.
older.
Yeah.
That
It's a
happens to me all
pattern.
the time.
Thing is, I'm glad it's not just me because part of my ADHD thing, it just jumps around, I forget and things like that.
But you're talking
But
about healing and sending that
yes,
gentle,
yes,
loving thought.
yes. What is it Gordon Higginson used to do us? Yes, we got us with our thoughts, our feelings. It's like magnetic healing, as he called it. But then we got faith healing, where we can just send a prayer. I hope this person gets better again, maybe connecting to source. But then it becomes, after that, mediumistic healing is when those healers, those healers in the spirit world come closer and increase the intelligence within the healing, of where it needs to go and what it needs to do. And any bets that there are, I wouldn't say that there'd be one if you are to take the route of just healing. I would, excuse me, any bets there wouldn't be just one healer. I would feel maybe there's someone that would be great with emotions. Maybe there's someone that is good with physical pains. Maybe there is someone that was an optician before that's a healer in the spirit world now that'll be great at healing eyes. It's just looking at it in different ways.
Thank you for
I
that.
just love exploring it.
I know when my dad passed, I tried everything. He had cancer, tried everything. So in my world, the physical healing didn't work. Little did I know that with his passing in 2010, I would go on this adventure to look for more reasons to believe, to meet people, to do some of my own training, to learn about grief. And so now, over 600 combined hours of episodes I have out there
Wow.
impacting hundreds of thousands of people. And so I think, and this is what works for me, and everybody has
Mhm.
their own beliefs, that maybe dad was in on it, right? And the world needed healing, and he's working from his side, I'm working from my
Yeah.
side. And so when things happen, myself personally, I don't believe that we make contracts that everything goes the way it does in life. I don't.
Yeah.
But I also believe, Stephen, that there are times where it's the most comforting thing to say, you know what, maybe that happened for that reason. So I choose
Yeah.
to believe that as far as my dad, because of the impact my words and books
Yeah.
and shows and all that make. And I feel his love. I feel him right with me. But I wanted to ask you, because life can be so tough, and I know there's some joy, I know there is, but there's a lot of awful stuff and
Hardship. Yeah.
pain and hardships. Do you have an idea for yourself what the reason of life is and what we're meant to do while we're here on this physical earth?
I think again, it's unique to everybody. Everyone has maybe a soul plan. Maybe that's something. But again, it's one thing's for sure is at one point, some point, whenever that time comes along, where our consciousness will let go of this physical body and we'll end up in a space where we call the spirit world. But I've forgotten your question again.
Oh, the purpose of
It's,
life. It was the big
oh,
one.
that's
It's
what
the
it was. That's
biggest
a big one.
question.
I'm gonna forget
Yeah, might as well.
that. No, but for me, I think is to live it, love it, enjoy it. I think that's the main purpose, and find our way through hardships makes us stronger, more knowledgeable in how to find our freedom within self, where we're not bound by the laws and rules and regulations of what society and everybody expects of us. And so And I think once we let go of all of that, rules, regulations, expectations of others, we're left with self. And within that self, if we are to fulfill our soul with happiness, then the beauty of the soul has more strength to draw happiness to you. I think happiness.
Beautiful words. And we're all different. That's one thing you've said several times
Yeah.
is there's different ways for different people. We're each on our own journey. Don't compare yourself to someone else or think you should be somewhere else by now. You know, somebody could be 85 watching or listening to us right now and just at the very beginning of their spiritual adventure. Wherever
Mm,
you are is perfect. You're one of a kind. You're perfect. You've lived a life that you can contribute to other people and make a difference. So it's really easy for our minds to say negative things about us, but who we each are, just these brilliant souls that have learned so much, and not to discount what we've been through.
yeah. And that was just when you were saying that, my beautiful wife, her granddad passed his driving test. I think it was round about the age of 80 or something like that. So it's just, yeah, it's never too late to enjoy it. Live your
Definitely.
potential.
Yes. Stephen, what else would, if I, let me back up. Are there any questions that I haven't asked you that you'd like to share about? Or is there a topic that's favorite on your mind? I'd love to find out about your website, of course, how people can get in touch with you.
Okay. Um, I think uh, I feel looking back, you mentioned my snowboarding, and I think also when we're in the presence of our soul, given freedom to our soul potential, is then we can um, be exhilarated by life itself. Because I found within my snowboarding, for example, this is where I found it, that every trouble, everything that dampened my emotions when I was on that board, everything was the pure exhilaration of that moment. Nothing else existed. And I think if we can find something like that for ourselves, I'm not telling you to go out and go snowboarding, but maybe it is within mediumship or just living life, just being kind to self. And if there was one uh, to bring a story to your mind just now. Um, One was when this was before I went to Stansted as well, to the college and so on. Didn't know nothing about it. It was so raw at the time. So it's possible for those that are listening as well that I was sitting in the presence. I'd actually listened to Glenn Edwards sitting in the power on a CD. And straight after that, I wanted to stick on Tony Stockwell, Meet Your Loved Ones. So I just felt inspired. I think it's called Healing the Wounded Soul. It's the name of the CD, track 8, I think it was. But as soon as I pressed that, it's like his voice just fell to the background, like it was in another room, meaning it wasn't so present within my awareness. And from within that space, I felt my brother come so close. And again, I would easily say there is no physical words to explain the closeness of that moment in time. 1,000 hugs in this life couldn't bring about the closeness, the presence of being together at that time. He came so close. It's like his tears were my tears. We shared the same tears. Um, just there wasn't even a question needed or a conversation needed. Maybe if we meet our loved ones, we might think, how are you doing over there? And they'll say back to you, I'm okay. There was no conversation. Every single thing, anything you could ever wanted was within that moment in time, just being, just completely being. And again, I wish I had words to really bring to life the experience. And but it was after a little while when we spent that time together, because it's one that's so strong and very in the beginning, and I didn't need training to do it. Is then when he started to withdraw a little bit, step back, if you like, is then when a conversation of minds started to happen. And all I saw was my sister, my nephew, rubber duck, and I know there was something to do with football. So my sister, I know she was quite into this kind of stuff anyway. So she wouldn't think I was crazy by sending this message. So I sent her a message. She sent one back saying, "Well, my nephew's just finished playing with his favorite rubber duck in the bath, and now he's sitting watching football with his dad." And that might be great of saying, like, proving a separate mind because there was no one else present. That his mind, he was there watching over my sister and so on. But many people have said, wow, that's amazing, for good evidence for you, but it wasn't, it doesn't even skiff the surface of being in that moment with him. And I feel in some way, if I was to give a seed of thought for people that are listening to nurture and grow themselves within their own experience. And it doesn't mean standing up to be a medium or giving readings or anything like that, but just to be present within self, because it's within their self is where the experience will come from. And everyone has a potential to meet those in the spirit world if they just give time and dedication. Um,
Beautiful words, really special. And just hearing them from you lets me and others know that those kind of things are possible. And once you have it, no one can take away it from you, saying
Absolutely.
it's your imagination. No, no, I lived
No,
it. You didn't. Peace
exactly.
close by. How can people get in touch with you, Stephen?
Well, I've got my website, which is soulfullyembraced.com. I'm on Facebook, which is Stephen Trolland, psychic medium. Or if you, yeah, just type in my name, I'll come up. Send messages there as well, or send me a message over my website. There's a blog on my website as well. I really need to add to it a little bit more. I might start adding my pictures, you never know. Um,
Pictures with some words of inspiration. How about that?
that's a good
Oh, your
idea.
pictures are just
You,
beautiful.
you've just given me some homework to do.
Yeah, if you want to. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I just, I wish there was more time as well. I just love sitting, speaking, and sharing experiences.
Oh, we love it as well. Well, Stephen's website is soulfullyembraced.com. That's where you can find him. And also, my website, we-don't-die.com. Again, there's, gosh, I think this is episode 447 of this show, and we're closing in on the 200 mark on Shades of the Afterlife. I'm committed. I really am committed that people understand that I say life is an education for the soul, but that life here is definitely, as we know, not permanent, but we are. Once we pass from this world, we're still us in the spirit world. Life on earth is tough, but we gain so much knowledge and so much wisdom, and we can make a difference with another person for it. I'll give you everything I've got to help you through the grieving process. It's a tough one. It really is. And if you don't already have a copy of my book, We Don't Die, and you'd like the PDF version, you can on the home base of we-don't-die.com. At the bottom, there's a place to enter your name and your email address. It says you get the first few chapters of the book, but once you start reading, you realize it's the entire book. Chapter 10 is about grief and things we can do to help ease the pain and move through it, and why we grieve, what's happening in the body. And it really does give some good tools and understanding. So take me up on that if you have not yet read it. But also, if we don't die, who are we? What is our life for? So there's no accident I ask these questions about what do we think life is for, because it's while we're here, it's so important to get our money's worth out of life, to be in the present moment, to learn, to grow, to forgive, to not beat yourself up for whatever you did in the past. Our past selves did the best they knew to do. But from this point forward, we can sit in our own power. We can go out in nature. We can start that conversation with our loved ones. The sky is the limit. There's no right way or wrong way. There's only your way. So, anything else I need to say? I don't think so. We don't die.com. Please come visit me on our free Sunday gathering. Happens 2 p.m. New York time each and every Sunday. If you come 15 minutes early or so, it's just me looking at the Zoom screen and we can have a conversation. I would absolutely love to meet you. So, in closing, my name is Sandra Champlain. I'm always so happy to be your host on We Don't Die Radio. Like I said before, I do believe that life is an education for the soul and that you're one of a kind and that your life here on earth is important. So go sit in your own power, go out for a walk in nature, be present, and just take a moment to pat yourself on the back for your journey, where you've been, and how wonderful you are. So I think that's it for me. So thank you for listening or for watching, and we'll see you again soon.